Good morning, everyone. I hope all of you are doing good, staying safe. My name is Gagandeep Singh, and I'm here representing Pearson PTE academic team right now. So I'd like to welcome you all students, and I hope you're able to spend good time for your preparation at home nowadays. Good morning, Manish. Oh. Good morning, Aditya, Prem, Akshay. So, okay, so today's agenda, as you all know, we will be talking about listening module, and with us, the trainer for the day is Miss Priyank Chabra. She's one of the most experienced PT trainer. She has more than 10 years of an experience in training, students and trainers on PTE. So she will take you through all the important question types of listening and will share her knowledge and experience with you all people, which may help you to understand the module well and you could able to score well. And if you have any questions or doubts related to any of the question type simultaneously, please feel free to write it in your chat box, and we will take the questions in the end of the session, and we will also take you through certain poll questions in between of the session just to see are you following up what we are trying to cover here. Okay, so let's get started. Good morning, Priyank. Over to you. Can you please start the session?
Sure. Thank you, Gagan. Good morning, all. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Priyank Chabra, and I am here to talk today about the listening part of PTE Academic. And this session is for 1 hour where I would be talking and sharing some tips and techniques as to how to attempt various questions that come in the test when it comes to the listening part of PTE Academic. And I would also be talking about so what I've done is I have planned a session for you all, and I have divided this session into 3 parts. Now, so for today's agenda, what I've done is that I have planned your session, and I am doing it in 3 parts, where the first part I would be talking to you about the listening test structure, and I would be mentioning some task types. So when you take the test, especially the listening part, then what kind of task types appear in the test? Then the second part would be, I would be talking on various useful strategies that can help you get a desired score. And in the third section, I would also be talking about the scoring, where I would be mentioning what all questions carry maximum weightage, and the other questions, what kind of scores do you get when you do the questions. Simultaneously, I will also be talking about how important are the listening skills when it comes to PT academic listening part. And I will give you some tips as to how to improve or how to work on your listening skills. And as Gagandeep mentioned that we would have some poll questions in between. So that is one way when you can actually do these questions, poll questions, and it'll be a kind of revision as to whatever we're covering in this session today. And those questions will be based on the topic or the thing that we are covering today. Now, in the end, and also in between, I would be asking you some questions. If you have any, feel free to ask questions. Put those questions in the chat box, and I'll be more than happy to address those questions simultaneously, maybe after every two sections or two item types, and we'll see how we go about. In the end, we also have one more question and answer round. In case you have any question unanswered, feel free to ask. So let's start with the listening part. But before this, I would just give you an overview of the listening section. Now, the listening part of PT Academic is the part 3, I would say, the last part of the test. And I'm sure you've also attended the earlier parts where you know that it starts with the introduction and then speaking and writing, and the second part is reading. And the last part, which is the third part of PT Academic test, is listening. Now, if you see the screen says that you have or you get 8 types of, I would say, 8 different types of questions in the listening section. And these 8 types are listed here. And these 8 types of questions are either integrated or non-integrated. So I'll just give you a brief idea as to what integrated tasks are and what are non-integrated tasks. Now, integrated question type is a question type where more than one communicative skill is being assessed or is being tested. We will be talking about those integrated tasks when we cover each and every item type in our listening section today. And there are also some non-integrated task types where only one communicative skill is tested. So the listening 8 different item types is a combination of integrated and non-integrated task types. I hope my pace of speaking is fine. I hope I'm not too fast. If I am, please write on a chat box so that we come to know, and then I can probably speak in a lower pace. Now, the total duration of listening section is 45 to 57 minutes for about an hour. Now, the time duration varies from one student to another. And the reason is because each question type or each item type, the number of questions that you would be getting for each item type would vary from one student to another. And that is why there is the time duration varies, and it is between 57 to 40, sorry, 45 to 57 minutes. Now, if you see the first section of listening, which says summarize spoken text, is for 20 to 30 minutes. This is, so listening has been divided into 2 parts, where the first item type, which is summarize spoken text, is given 10 minutes for each task, which we would be talking in detail. So it has 2 to 3 questions, and the total time duration is 20 to 30 minutes. Now, this time duration, which is allotted to you, which is given to you, and you have to manage within those 10 minutes for each question or each summarized spoken text that you get. However, the other section or the other 7 item types are for 23 to 28 minutes. Now, these 7 item types, you need to manage time when it comes to stipulated time which is given to you. And you need to make sure that you do all these 7 item types in the time given. Now, again, this time would vary from one person to another depending on the number of questions that you get in this section. Now, just to let you know that in the listening section, there is no repetition of the recording that you would be hearing. So you will hear recording only once. And time management is the key to get a good score in listening. We will also talk about certain other aspects where we would be focusing today, and I'll be discussing on those different aspects as to how to get a good score in listening. But I would say the most important aspect is time management. It is very crucial, very important, and we would also be talking about that. So before I go ahead, I'm sure we will be going through these 8 item types in detail. Now, before we go ahead and start with the 8 item types, as students, I would want to understand what do you feel, what are the various challenges that you may face while doing listening, either in the test or while preparing for the listening section. So when it comes to listening, there are some challenges or some I would say challenges faced by you, and you feel that okay, this can be one challenge when we are doing a listening section or while preparing for my listening section. I would want you to list some challenges, some do a little brainstorming, think about some challenges that you feel that you may come across or you generally do while doing your preparation as well now, that you think. So I hope you, am I audible? I hope you're able to hear me out. Am I audible enough? Yes, no, maybe? Can you write on a chat box if I'm audible? Do I need to be a little louder? Pace fine? Am I too fast? Am I too slow?
Positive
Okay, so
response. People are able to listen to you, and they're saying the pace is also fine.
okay, great. Thank you. So I don't have to be faster or slower for sure. Slower, definitely no, but faster I can if in case. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
So
I would want you to write down some problems that you feel, some challenges that you feel. Okay, if I am doing this listening section of PT Academic, ma'am, this can be one challenge that I could face. And how to overcome these challenges is something that I'm going to discuss. So that listening section of PT Academic becomes easier for you.
we
So
received two challenges, Priya.
yes,
Number
tell me
one
please.
is that there is a question related to the time management.
Great.
Then the accent of the audio file, which looks a little difficult.
Excellent. Okay. Mhm.
Hmm.
Very good challenge. Excellent. So, so let's talk about some challenges that we face in the listening section or we may come across. Number one, rightly said, the first challenge that a student may face during the preparation or even in the exam is understanding the accent. So let's talk about, now we're not talking about the when we go, because what we are doing is we are trying, I'm trying to give you some tips and techniques as to make sure that you score well in your listening section. So we're talking about while we are preparing for PT Academic and we are doing some questions. So what are the challenges and how do we overcome those challenges? So first is understanding the accent could be one challenge that you face in listening section. That is true. Number two is coping up with pace while making notes. So my listening section I'm doing and I am listening to various recordings and I have to make notes. So I'm not able to cope up. So that's one challenge that you may face, is that you may not cope up with the pace while making notes. The speaker is either too fast. That is why one reason when I was asking you that is the pace good, because I want you to make notes. In case you like something, you can just note it down on a notepad. And coping up with that pace when the speaker is speaking can be one challenge that you may come across. The third challenge you may come across is maintaining the accuracy while answering the questions or choosing the correct options when you are doing listening section. So so I have notes. So my point is that okay, I am able to understand the accent and I am able to cope up with the pace and I have made notes. Now third challenge could be, am I able to mark the right option? What do I do? Is there any technique to ensure that I am marking the correct answer choice? That is another challenge. So these three challenges are mostly faced by students while preparing for listening, and we will be talking or we will do a discussion on this as to we will understand how to overcome these challenges. So how do we overcome these challenges that we have talked about? Now, I would suggest you are preparing for PT Academic, and especially the listening section, number one is simultaneously or before you start preparing, please start listening to various authentic academic lectures, because PT Academic is a test where you would be listening to or you would be coming across various academic lectures. And it is a good idea to get into that habit of listening to various authentic academic lectures so that you are familiar with the vocabulary that is being used in the academic lectures by various speakers. And also you get used to with the pace of the speaker, so try different paces of different speakers. So if it is slow, then how to cope up with that pace. And there is a possibility if the pace is slow, but the accent could be an issue for you. So get into the habit of doing those hit and trial method, and work on various academic lectures when it comes to listening. The second thing that you can do is get an exposure to various kinds of accents. So PT academic does not only cater to a UK accent, but it caters to different accents. Could be you may get a speaker who is speaking in American accent or a British accent, or a Canadian or an Australian, European, etc. So get an exposure to various kinds of accents. And number three that you can do is when you are listening to various speakers, and especially getting acquainted with the authentic academic lectures, ask yourself various questions. What is the speaker talking about? Who is he referring to? What is he trying to infer? And what was some specific information that he's trying to imply? So we call it as WH questions, where we are catering to what, who, why, where, and when. So while you are listening, try to understand in context to these WH questions, where you are listening and simultaneously you are trying to understand what is the speaker talking about and who is he speaking to, etc. Now, the fourth thing that you can do is building some kind of vocab for yourself, wherein get familiar with some words that are being used in academic lectures, and you build your own vocab so that not only listening, but this vocabulary can also help you getting a good score in the other sections of PT academic. And last but not the least, while you are preparing for your PT academic, do a lot of practice questions. I'm sure we can also talk about some resources later if we have time, and plus if there is any question related to the resource. But there are various resources available uh, where you can try and do a lot of practice questions that helps in preparing for your listening section. Okay. Now, I hope this helps. All good till here? Yes, no, maybe. Before we start with the 8 item types in detail and we understand the task types, Gagandeep, can you tell me, are people, are they able to understand till now? Any questions?
We received people saying yes, they are ready to go to the next section.
Great. Thank you. So we start with the first task type, which is summarize spoken text. And this is how the screen looks like when it comes in your test, and it says 2 to 3 items, 2 to 3 questions that you would be getting. And this is the first task type of listening section. It says you will hear a short lecture, write a summary for a fellow student who was not present at the lecture, and you should write 50 to 70 words. You will have 10 minutes to finish this task, and your response will be judged on the quality of your writing and how well your response presents the key points presented in the lecture. Now, there is a box and you have a cut, copy, paste option. When you are writing a summary, you may use cut, copy, paste option with whatever you are writing, and that can help with time management as well. There is a word count which will tell you how many words you've written and how many more to go. In case you have written more or you have exceeded the limit, then you may just remove some words from the summary. Now, 2 aspects that we would be talking about when it comes to summarize spoken text. Before I go ahead, just to tell you and give you a quick revision as to 2 to 3 questions, they come for summarize spoken text, and 1 question is for 10 minutes, and the word limit is 50 to 70 words. Now, while listening, so there are two aspects. One is while listening to the speaker, what do I do? And number two is once I have listened to the speaker, what are the important aspects that I need to keep in mind while writing a summary? So the first thing is while listening, note taking is the key. And this note taking, I would say, is very important when it comes to main ideas and the important details that the speaker is mentioning. So when the speaker is talking or there is a lecture that is being heard, you need to make notes. There is an erasable noteboard booklet that is being given to you, and a board marker which you can use to make notes. So note taking is the key, and you start taking notes of the main ideas that the speaker talks about with the important details. You can also mention some specific dates or numbers or examples, but only if you are able to listen to those numbers, dates, and examples properly and make sure that they are not incorrect. Because in case the speaker says 10,000 and you write 1,000, that would be incorrect. But if you're great with listening skills and there is a clarity of the accent in the voice and you are able to capture that kind of information, then please make that information a part of your note taking. So any kind of important details such as specific date, not too many numbers, and not too many examples, because word limit is just 50 to 70 words. Now, now that I have taken notes and I have my notes right in front of me, what do I do? My second thing that I do is that I decide what do I write. So I may have a lot of notes. I may be very good as a student. I am probably very good with note making or note taking, but then I cannot write everything in the summary. So what do? I pick and choose the important information. So I take a decision of which information is to me considered as a main idea. What do I write as a main idea, and what all details should I include in my summary? That is very important. So now that I have taken a decision of what all I will be including in my summary, then my next step is what and how to write. So kind of what also we've already discussed, that what am I writing? I have already chosen those keywords and the details if I am mentioning any. Now, how do I write? My second step, how do I write, is now I start writing a summary and ensure that your first sentence should talk about the topic sentence or the topic of the listening part or the topic of what the speaker spoke. So my first sentence should introduce the topic of the uh, listening, which the speaker mentioned, and then I should start writing or explaining the main ideas with the important details, where I can also use linkers. Now, linkers are very, very important to connect the main ideas and the important information if there is any, and that's how you can relate the information with the other information that you have, and that can be a good coherence and cohesion. So linkers really help. And now I would, before I go ahead, I would want you to list down some linkers that you may feel you may use while connecting different ideas or different main points that you have along with the details. Kindly on a chat box, please mention 3 linkers, at least, that you feel that can actually be included in your summary. And
So
Gagan,
that is
you can connect
yeah.
it
So
to
it's
me.
there
Yeah.
as like moreover, besides, also, however, whereas, furthermore, and but, because, also, furthermore, firstly, since.
Excellent. That's lovely. Now, the best part is that we can write as many sentences as you wish to, as long as it is between 50 and 70 words. So you may use simple sentences, you may use compound or complex sentences as well. Okay, so there is no stress of just using compound or complex sentences, because we have to make one sentence only, which we do in summarized written text. But here we can make n number of sentences. So if you are comfortable making simple sentences and that's how you want to write a summary, good enough. If you want to use linkers, which is definitely a good idea, because then the sentence is more impressive, and linkers help joining various ideas and words or sentences or phrases, and so it's more impressive, and academically it is considered good, or I would say you get better marks when it comes to writing sentences like compound and complex. However, both are correct as long as you are comfortable using linkers correctly. So correct linkers, very important. Do not use linkers if the usage of linker is you can't understand. Don't do that. Now, students, very important. Check your grammar. Once you have, so we've written a summary. What is the next step? At least have 1 minute of a quick revision where you would be checking your spellings, grammar, and punctuation. So 9 minutes, you write a summary, where I would suggest 1 or 2 minutes you were also, thinking as to how you would structure your summary, and then you start typing. In 1 minute, you should actually devote to the revision where you are checking on grammar, spellings, and punctuation, which is very important. And don't try to do paragraphing. So one paragraph, because one summary is one paragraph, so do not break your summary into different paragraphs. It's not essay writing, it is just summary which has to be one para. Cut, copy, paste, I've already told you about, and I have told you the word limit should not exceed. Now the next important thing we need to understand is how scoring is done. As I mentioned that in listening, there are some integrated tasks and some non-integrated tasks. This would be an integrated task type where you are being assessed on listening because you're listening to a speaker, and then you are writing a summary. Okay, so you would be getting 2 points for content if you are providing a good summary of the text and all your relevant aspects are mentioned. Something that I talked about, that the main keywords and the main idea needs to be mentioned, and where we did a kind of shortlisting, or we were choosing what all ideas or what all keywords are we using. Now, in case you are just doing it fairly, you get 1 point, otherwise zero. Then 2 points for formal requirement, where you have to adhere to the word limit, which is 50 to 70. In case you write anything between 40 and 49 and 71 to 100, then you get 1 point. Else, below 40 and more than 100 gets a zero. Now you will be also scored on grammar, vocabulary, and spelling, which is 2 points each. So take care of grammar errors. That is why I said that please spend 1 minute of quick revision. That is very important, because sometimes we also make typo errors. Typo errors are typing errors where we tend to write the right spellings, but we type them wrongly. So that would also be considered as a spelling error. Take care of that while doing revision. And vocabulary would refer to choice of words that you are using. Now, two important things. One, if you don't want to change the words that the speaker spoke, it's fine. It's okay as long as they are good and you were able to understand those words and you can copy those words very well. But in case you have a good vocabulary, what I mentioned while preparing for a listening section, build your vocab skills. So in case you can replace those words with the words that the speaker spoke, and you can put some different words, but they need to be appropriate words. That is why it says appropriate choice of words is very important, and that's how you will get a score on vocabulary. So this is 10-point question. In case you get, you may get 2 questions, or you may get 3 questions for summary. Any questions till now? We're done with summarized spoken text. I'll be more than happy to answer if you have any questions related to summarized spoken text.
Mm, Receiving no as an answer from 2, 3 students.
No
There is one
question.
question being asked. Shall we use comma in between?
Yes, we can use comma in between, because when we are synthesizing a sentence, or we're writing a complex or a compound sentence, then various punctuations are used. What you can do is you can Google a little bit on synthesis of sentences or transformation of sentences, how to write a compound sentence or a complex sentence using various simple sentences, and you will actually see that there is a usage of some commas and linkers. So when I asked you to write down some linkers, I'm sure you know these linkers also have some kind of punctuation either before or after. So yes, commas are allowed and you may use it. It's a good way to write a sentence.
Here's another question. In content, we get marks for typing same words. So is it, I
Uh,
believe they're asking the words that speaker have spoken. So is it the only same words?
sure. Sure. So the content would refer to what the speaker spoke, and speaker spoke something where we did a short listing. We said that, while listening, we're taking notes. When we are taking notes, obviously we are writing, we're trying to write, and we are writing the same words that the speaker is speaking. We're not replacing those words when we are listening to the speaker. Yes. And content here would refer to whatever the speaker has spoken and whatever he has talked about, the main idea, what was the lecture about, and what does he refer to, and that is why I mentioned those WH words that can help you understand. So if you write a good summary where the important aspects are mentioned, what has been mentioned by the speaker, that's a part of content. However, I said your vocabulary would also include your choice of words in case you want to replace. Even if you don't replace, you still get a good score. Don't worry about it. It's just the choice of words that you do. I may have a different vocabulary and Gagandeep would have a different vocabulary. Doesn't mean that we would either one of us may not get a good score. We both can, as long as the choice of words is correct.
Okay,
That
I'll take one
answer?
more question. Yeah, I'll take
Sure.
one more question before we proceed to the next one. Can we use examples or the name of the speaker mentioned in the audio file?
Very good question. I mentioned this in the beginning that when we are taking notes, if we are able to capture, and we're good, very great with listening skills, and I actually am into watching a lot of movies, so I understand the name called Barry Johnson or Thomas or Mary, and I am very well aware of the spellings. In case you hear, and there is a possibility that you may hear, but something went wrong and you're not sure. Say, for example, hi, my name is Priyank Chabra, and a lot of people, most of the people would or may not write the correct spellings of my name. Okay. So my point is that I have heard this name before, which is Priyank, but I may not write the correct spellings. If you do not write the correct spellings of that particular name that has been mentioned by the speaker, that would be considered as a spelling error. Examples can also, that is about the name. Use the names only if you are aware of the spellings and you're sure that these are correct spellings. Else, do not mention names. You can just use it as generic. The speaker talked about, and there was a person or a candidate or a student that has been talked about, something like that. Too many years, I said do not mention because then it will be too many commas. Too many commas if we have too many years. Plus, only if you are okay with those years and you listen to those years properly. Example one is fine, but not too many examples because that may just exceed your word limit and may defeat the purpose of writing a good summary. That answers, Gagandeep?
Yep, yes. Okay,
Okay.
so let's the next
Any
question
other?
time.
Sure.
There are a few, but then
Now
we may have to.
we'll do that. Let's go to the second question type or the task type that we have in listening. Now, this is the second section of listening that begins, and time management is very important. We'll see how do we go about with the time management because there was a question related to that as well. That was considered as a challenge. That was the only challenge that I haven't answered yet, but I will be doing it either simultaneously or in the end. Now, the first or item type of this section, but considered as second of listening section, is multiple choice, choose multiple answers. You get 2 to 3 questions for this. The question says, listen to the recording, answer the question by selecting all the correct responses. You will need to select more than one response. Now, as the name suggests, multiple choice, choose multiple answers. And it says either you get 2 questions or 3. and you would again be listening to a recording. So the key is note taking. So get ready with your erasable noteboard and start taking notes the moment the speaker starts. Now you get 7 seconds before the recording begins. So what do you think? What would you utilize these 7 seconds in? My question to you, I would like you to give an answer on the chat. What do you think? How would you utilize these 7 seconds that are given to you before the speaker starts with the recording or with the lecture? What exactly would you like to do in these 7 seconds? So these 7 seconds, am I just waiting for those 7 seconds to wait for the speaker to speak, or do I do something about it?
So I'm getting some options, reading the options, reading the question statement,
Okay.
skim the options.
Okay. Great.
Yeah,
All right.
after
So
reading the question and the options.
yeah, I think these are the two options only that we have, and we would. Now, when you have these 7 seconds before the recording begins, the most important thing that you can do and can help you is reading the question stem. So read the question stem. And why are we doing this? Because if I say, according to the text, how are online news sources make the news industry more competitive? So I have this word competitive, and then my main word is online news source. So when I am going to listen to this recording where the speaker would talk about some online news sources and how is it going to help this or make this news industry more competitive, that is something that kind of information I would be looking for. So I know what am I looking for, and these 7 seconds I can utilize reading the question stem, understanding what my question is and what do I look for when the speaker is speaking while taking notes. That's something I can keep in mind. Now, some people mention that let's read the answer options. I would suggest you still can do if you feel like, but to me it doesn't work, and to most of my students it does not work. Reading the answer choices is fairly not a good idea to do. Why? Because the 7 seconds you're reading the options, unless you're doing skimming and scanning, still it would not solve the purpose. Now reading the options will have those options in your mind. When you will be listening to a lecture while making notes, you will be confused and you will actually look for those options while the speaker is speaking. Not a great idea, because these are answer choices that are given to you by PT academic test people, and there are many trap answer choices given in this. So the best way is to read the question stem and understand what are we looking for, and then try to relate that information with what the speaker speaks and make notes. Okay. Now, so it says find the key points in the answer options only if you are very comfortable with your listening skills and you feel that may work. For some, it doesn't. Most of them, no. However, there is one thing that we can do this once we have listened to the speaker and we have our notes ready. So that is the time when we can relate to our notes with the key points that are mentioned in the answer choices. Okay. So my first step is to read the question stem. My second step is when the recording begins, I take notes and I listen to the speaker very well. My third step is to read the answer choices, because now I have to find the correct answer. I read the answer choices and then I see the keywords. If these keywords are actually mentioned by the speaker, and I do a process of elimination. I start eliminating the answer choices that I feel are not correct. Whatever answer choices I feel are correct, I need to mark those answer choices as answers, because there is more than one answer choice which is an answer. Now, when it comes to scoring, you will get +1 for each correct answer and -1 for an incorrect answer, and minimum score is 0. So make sure you only mark answer choices that you feel are correct. If you are not sure of any answer choice that is not correct, do not mark, because then there is a -1 for each for that particular answer choice. However, the minimum score is not negative, it is only 0. So if you mark 2 incorrect answer choices, then you still get a 0. You will not get a -2. If you write 1 right and 1 wrong, then your score is 0. Can we do a poll question now? And before that, if there is any question related to multiple choice, choose multiple answers.
How much
And
time we should spend to choose an answer?
to do this question or to find an answer?
To find an answer.
Okay. So as we mentioned that there is the total time that is allocated for your listening section, and I would suggest that you should not spend a lot of time doing this, because your each question answer type that you would, or I would say each answer choice that you would be marking, will get a +1 and a -1. So overall you have to manage time. So this is something maybe I can address later when I tell you that these are the important, very important item types where you can spend more time, and these are the item types where you can spend less time. Would that do? But this is one of the
Okay,
item types where you should ideally not spend a lot of time.
sure. Though there is one more question which I can answer. It says that if I write only one right answer, will it be marked 1 or 0? So that will be marked 1 if it is a right answer. Correct, Priya?
Yes, yes, that's right.
Okay. Um, okay. Let's do the first poll question.
Sure.
So, guys, I have just did one poll question. What is the time given in section 2 of listening? Is it 20 to 30 minutes, 23 to 28 minutes, 25 to 30 minutes, 27 to 33 minutes? So we have about another 15 more seconds to receive the response. Okay, I'm closing the vote poll now. So we have 63% people who have voted for this poll, and out of that, 53% of them have given a correct answer, which is 23 to 28 minutes for section 2 of listening. Yeah, Jack, anything you wish like to add?
So we go ahead with the next item type, which is called listening fill in the blanks. You get 2 to 3 questions for this particular item type. And it says you will hear a recording, type the missing words in each blank. And you can see there is a time bar and it says beginning in 7 seconds. Now again, we have this notification, it says beginning in 7 seconds. And how would we manage, or what would you do in these 7 seconds? Now you will quickly go through the paragraph and try to read, if you can, just get the idea of it as to what is it about, so that when the speaker is speaking you can actually, so do not go into the detail as to understanding the paragraph, but just quickly skim and scan, just go through it and see where all you have these blanks or gaps, so that when the speaker is speaking, then you can actually you're aware of, okay, this is the gap and this is where I need to write the word. So you will be hearing a recording and you just need to type the missing word in the gaps or the blank spaces given. Okay, so this is a transcript, and when the speaker speaks, um, two things. One, either you write the word, so it's better to write it on the erasable noteboard, so that when you actually copy those answer choices, then it is easier for you. Also make sure that there are no spelling errors, so it's convenient then. Otherwise you can simultaneously do it on the gap itself. itself when the speaker is speaking. But make sure if you miss any gap or any blank when the speaker is speaking, maybe because you were not able to understand that particular word, please do not worry about it. It is just one blank. Don't let this one blank which you missed affect your overall score. Now, as a tip would be that as a test taker, please get them write those words on the erasable notebook booklet, as I mentioned, because that can, when you are writing down the words actually on the computer screen, then you can make sure that the spellings are correct, and even do not make any errors like grammar errors, maybe singular plural, or a tense error, or a subject verb agreement error. So if the speaker says play, then write play, not played. Or if it says plant, then don't write plants, because that would be considered as an error. Spellings are very, very important when it comes to listening fill ups. Now, the best part about this listening fill in the blanks is for each correct word spelled correctly, you get +1. There is no negative marking. Whatever words you're writing correctly with the correct spellings, you get +1. And the minimum score is 0. There is no negative score for any incorrect word that you write. So even if you're not sure of any word in particular that the speaker spoke, please don't hesitate to write. At least try. Okay, you may get that right. Maybe you're not sure that if it's right or wrong, but it may be right. Okay, so this is an important item type, because if you see, this is very scoring. It says 1 2 3 4 5 6. These are 6 blanks, and your question, each question for this particular question is 6 points, because you have 6 blanks, 1 point for each blank. Any questions before we go ahead with the next task type?
Can we
Uh,
write all cap
one,
word in blanks?
no, you cannot write all caps. If it's a proper noun, then only your first alphabet of that particular word, which would be rare. However, maybe, but then no, we cannot write all the words in caps. Absolutely no, no, because that's not
Can
the
we,
way we write academic writing.
sure. Can we leave it blank if we are not sure about the word, or we should give a try?
Okay, so be positive, give a try, and if you still cannot, even if you leave it, there is no negative marking. So give it a try. And why am I saying give it a try? Because sometimes if you read this, you actually can make out what a word, what that particular blank can be. So if you have heard something but you're not sure, still give it a try. It may be right.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. This is an integrated, so just wanted to tell you that this is an integrated task where you are given scores for your listening and writing. However, multiple choice, choose multiple answer was just about listening, because you were just listening there. You were not writing, you were not reading, and you were not speaking. So in this, listening and writing is being assessed. We come to the next item type, which is highlight correct summary. You get 2 to 3 questions for this. You will hear a recording. Click on the paragraph that best relates to the recording. Now, again, if you see, there is a time bar, and it says beginning in 10 seconds. So in this, you don't have 7 seconds, but you have 10 seconds, because the options that are given below are longer in terms of words. The length is more. It's just not 2, 3, 4 words, and these are small paragraphs. Now it says these are the summaries, so you need to highlight, you need to click on the correct summary. Now the most important thing is note taking again. In this, when the speaker starts speaking, you need to take notes. And so active listening, if you are listening actively and you are able to understand the speaker, you're able to capture some important points, some keywords, some information that he is talking about, especially when it comes to numbers, or some example that he's quoting, or I would say some particular year. That can also help. If you see this option, I would say option C, where you can see 70% and 80% of the customers. So it says 80% of the customers, be careful, because you may capture this word 80%, but you're not sure it is 80% of customers or producers, and it says 70% of the people. So those important little words are very important, and that would can only be captured when you are good with your note taking. So once you have taken notes, then so the whole idea is you have those 10 seconds to see, quickly go through these options and see what are these options saying. Another strategy is that you do not look at the options. Just be okay. Get ready with your notepad. Start taking notes. And once you have those notes, compare your notes with the options given below. And process of elimination helps pick the option which you feel. So first eliminate the options that are incorrect, and whatever you are left with, choose the best or the better option that you are left with. And you just have to mark one option as a correct option. You get +1 for the correct answer and 0 for an incorrect answer. There is no negative marking. So if you see the students, this is how you're supposed to take notes on the erasable noteboard booklet, and you can match them with the correct summary when the recording completes. And see, these are the small keywords that can help you find the correct summary. +1 for correct, 0 for incorrect, and this is an integrated task where you are being scored on listening and reading. Because you're reading the summary, at the same time, you are also being assessed on listening. Okay? Any questions on this?
No, I have not received any questions related to valid correction.
Okay. Okay. So we go next. It says multiple choice, choose single answer. 2 to 3 questions come for this particular item type, and it says beginning in 5 seconds. You have a time box, and it says the recording would begin in 5 seconds. Let's see, what do we need to do? As a test taker, we need to listen to the recording and answer the multiple choice question by selecting the correct response. Since it says multiple choice, choose single answer, only one response is correct. So this is somewhat similar to what we did is the multiple choice, choose multiple answer. There we were supposed to mark more than one answer choice as the correct option, but here we only have to mark one option. Which also means that hopefully the speaker would not have much to speak, because we just have to find one answer out of what the speaker is speaking. And there you get 7 seconds to prepare. Here you just get 5 seconds to prepare your answer choices. Here you can see there are 4, so you would get somewhere between 4 and 6 answer choices. From that you need to pick one. Whereas for multiple choice, choose multiple answer, you may have anything between 5 and 7 answer choices from which you have to pick more than one. Now, if I say again, the strategy would be before the recording begins, please read the question stem and see what the speaker is talking about. So it says, what does the speaker believe is likely to happen in the future? So I know that something is going to happen in future. That's the information that I need to look for. And note taking is another key. Start taking notes when the speaker speaks. Not a good idea to not take notes, because if you say that, okay, I'll just close my eyes and try to retain whatever I can, that would not be a good idea, because maybe your retention points may not match the points that you have in your answer choices. So note taking helps. Now, once you have taken notes, please go to the answer choices and do a process of elimination. Eliminate the ones that you feel are not correct, and then whatever you are left with, obviously you have to be left with only one, or even if you're left with 2, just pick the better option out of the 2. Now, this is something we've done. You have to compare your notes with the keywords given in options, so that it helps you to eliminate the wrong ones. And this is a non-integrated task where you get a score for listening only, and you get +1 for the correct answer and 0 for an incorrect answer. Okay, any questions based on this? Not a very good idea to spend a lot of time in this, because this is just one score point you get for each question type, so which means it's just 2 to 3 questions, 2 to 3 score points. That's it.
Okay,
Any
so there
questions?
is one question. Yeah, there's one question, but that's kind of a little bit generic one. In listening, it's very difficult to remember whatever we have listened. So please give us some tips for notes and how to make notes.
Okay, so this is very generic. So depends on what the speaker is talking about and how to make notes. Now, how to make notes is, as I mentioned in the beginning of the session, that you need to get into the habit of listening to various authentic academic lectures where you initially start working on your note making. And the academic lectures, I would say the first part of the academic lecture, when the speaker is talking about your main point or the main idea or what the speaker wants to talk about, is always mentioned. So try to capture that. Do not try to ignore the first few information or first one or two lines that the speaker speaks. That really helps because that is the main topic sentence of the paragraph or the lecture that the speaker is talking about. And then while listening, some, just like I said, some example that he is talking about that can relate to what exactly this speaker wants to mention or relate to what he's talking about, that helps. And in the end of the lecture also, that kind of information also helps because there is a possibility he may kind of conclude what he is talking about or some further points that he would like you to mention in the summary or any other stuff. But for other question types like MCMA and CSA multiple choice questions, as I mentioned, then your answer choices would have those keywords that the speaker has already spoken. So try to capture those important vocab words. You can also yeah, one important point is that you can also be aware or be careful with the linkers because the speaker says it's a beautiful day. However, I cannot go out because of lockdown. So the speaker is saying it's a beautiful day, but then at the same time he's expressing his inability to go out because of the lockdown. So here my important word was not only beautiful day or lockdown, but my important word was also however. Okay, that answers Gagandi.
Yes, it does.
Okay, we go next and select missing word. Now, it says you will hear a recording about medicine. The best part about this question type is that you would be given some information initially saying that you are talking about, so this recording would be about some subject, some topic. So you know what is coming. Okay, so it's not going to be like a surprise, but you know what is coming, what the lecture would be about. So you will hear a recording about medicine. Here it is talking about medicine, and at the end of the recording, the last word or group of words has been replaced by a beep. So select the correct option to complete the recording. Now you see there is a time box and it says beginning in 7 seconds, and this is the time bar and it starts when the recording starts. Now these are the options. I would suggest you to quickly go through these options in these 7 seconds so that it helps. And when the speaker, so speaker is going to speak something about medicine here, and in the end, when this recording comes somewhere here, you know that this recording would be ended, but that would be an abrupt recording, big ending, because your last part or the last phrase or last group of words will be missing, and there would be a beep. Now this beep has to be replaced by these words that are given in the option that needs to be selected by you. There is only one answer choice that it would be correct. Okay, however you will get either 3 to 5 response options and you just need to mark one option. Now in case you want to deselect, so I mark the first option, say blood, but now I want to change it to heart. So I go back, I mark this again, and it gets deselected, and then I come back and I mark heart. That's how I can mark. So it's not that you have marked some option wrongly and you can't change it, you still can. Okay, till the time you go to the next option. Now for each question type or for each question, you will be given 1 score point for the correct answer, for the correct response, and you get 0 for the incorrect response. There is no negative marking. And this is a non-integrated task where you get a score only for listening because there is no speaking, writing, or reading involved. A non-integrated task. Easy, not difficult, but what I would suggest, one tip that I would like to share is prediction. So you need to anticipate the answer choice because when the speaker is speaking, and you know that the recording is coming to the end. So you need to relate that information to what would come to as the end part. That is called prediction or anticipating your answer. That helps. Any questions?
Not related to this question.
Okay. One poll. Can we do? Can we have one poll question quickly?
Sure, we'll do that. Sure. How many enabling skills are assessed in summarized spoken text? It's like 2, 3, 4, 5. And for everyone's benefit, we have 6 enabling skills which comes in our report card. These are like grammar, pronunciation, oral fluency, vocabulary, spellings, and written discourse. So out of those 6, which of them are being getting assessed in summarized spoken text? Okay, I'm closing down the poll. So we're getting continuously more responses. Okay, done. And here we got different responses, Priyank.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's quite a mixed response by the students. 28% students say that there are 2 enabling skills being assessed, then 22% says 3, 23% says 4, and 27% says 5 enabling skills being assessed. And the right answer is 3. There's grammar, vocabulary, and spellings as an enabling skills which are being assessed in summarized spoken text. Is it correct, Priya?
Five enabling skills cannot be tested on a summarized spoken text because, as Ravindi mentioned, that the 6 enabling skills are grammar, spellings, vocabulary, oral fluency, pronunciation, and written discourse. Now, oral fluency and pronunciation is a part of speaking. There's something that cannot be assessed on the listening section, especially when it comes to the summarized spoken text. However, written discourse is also not a part of summarized spoken text as an enabling skill. Okay, because the written discourse is the kind of discourse markers that you are using, and you definitely are using linkers in summarized spoken text, but it's not considered as an enabling skill when it comes to summarized spoken text. It would be just a part of grammar, the way you are using linkers to make a summary. Okay, am I clear? Great. So we go to the next, and this is our second last item type of listening section of PTE Academic, and it says highlight incorrect words. 2 to 3 questions come for highlight incorrect words. I would say these are um, very easy questions, just like 3 marks. You will hear a recording. Below is a transcription of the recording. Some words in the transcription differ from what the speaker said. Please click on the words that are different. Now there is a transcript below, and you see there is a recording box, and it says beginning in 10 seconds. Now the time bar says beginning in 10 seconds, which means the speaker will start in 10 seconds. You have 10 seconds to quickly go through the text if you wish to, so that you are aware of the words that the speaker would be speaking, and then capturing those words, especially in terms of pronunciation. When the speaker is speaking, you can understand what he is talking or mentioning those words. Also, you have to find the words that are different from what the transcript is saying and what the speaker is saying. So you would be clicking on those key on the words that are different from what the speaker speaks, and just take care of. So I would suggest if you move the cursor simultaneously like this when the speaker is speaking, so that the moment you come across any word which is, say for example, here it is written out, and the speaker will say set in. So you click on this word and it gets highlighted, because this is, you are highlighting an incorrect word which is different from what the speaker is speaking as compared to what the transcript says. Now, there may be n number of words that may be different, not just one or two, something around maybe 5 or 6 or 7. So be careful with the text and move the cursor simultaneously. Just like fill in the blanks, where I mentioned that if you miss any gap or any blank space, don't worry about it. Do not take stress. Similarly here, if you are moving the cursor and you miss something, do not worry too much. Don't take stress. Just keep moving, because if you will start thinking what the word was, then you may miss and not cope up with the pace of the speaker. So then you may tend to miss more words. You may come back and think what he spoke may be a good idea, but not when you have missed the word. Stop thinking right there and just go ahead with the flow. Now, for each correct word that you mark or highlight, which is you get 1 point for that. For any incorrect word that you mark, you get -1. But the minimum score is 0. That's the best part. Which means that you mark 5 correct options and you mark 2 incorrect, you still get +3. +5 -2 is equal to +3. If you mark 2 options only and both are wrong, it's not -2, it is 0. You mark 3 right, 4 wrong, it still is 0. This is an integrated task where you are given scores for listening and reading, because you're reading the text simultaneously and you are also being scored for listening, as this is an listening task. Any questions?
Uh, Nothing specific for highlighted incorrect words.
Great. We go to the next item type, which is the last item type, which says write from dictation, and you get 3 to 4 questions for this. I would say this is very, very important task type of listening section, and make sure when you are managing time, you're able to not just reach to this item type, but also able to finish, because this is very scoring. Now you will hear a sentence, type the sentence in the box below exactly as you hear it, write as much of the sentence as you can. You will hear the sentence only once. So you will hear a sentence, it's a dictation, it's not a dictation of a word, it is a dictation of words in a sentence. Make sure that you are able to capture the sequence of the sentence and you write the sentence exactly as you hear it. Now you get +1 for each correct spelled word that you write what the speaker spoke. So you have 7 seconds, beginning in 7 seconds. This is a time when you can get ready with your noteboard booklet and with your pen. Though cut copy paste option doesn't work anywhere, but you still, whatever you're writing here, you can use a cut copy paste in case you wish to work on your time management and save some time, because sometimes there's very less time, so that can help. And when you are listening to the speaker, try to either capture or just close your eyes and try to remember, or I would say take a note of what the speaker speaks in your mind. That is one strategy that you can do. Number two is take down those words or whatever the speaker is speaking. Please note down that sentence exactly as you hear it on the noteboard booklet, and then copy the sentence in the box given. Now, even if you do not follow the sequence of the sentence, you still get marks for whatever words you have written, because it's a dictation of words, it's not repeat sentence. So each word that you spell correctly and you write it on the box, you get 1 point for each word. Your first word has to be in a capital letter and your last word has to have a full stop in the end. Please make sure, because you will not be marked on that particular word if it doesn't have a full stop or if it is not a capital letter. If there is any punctuation which is required in the middle of the sentence, please do not forget to put that. And I would suggest, before you go to the next, please revise that sentence, see if the grammar is fine, because grammar sometimes can help you find errors, as if you have written the correct sentence. Even if you listened wrongly and you have just jotted it down, but you still, by reading that sentence, you can make out if there is an error. For example, this says a cart carries a single object, and what if you write a cart carry a single object? Now you know, if it is cart and subject verb agreement says it has to be carries, not carry. Okay, that's how you can make sure that you get a good score in your dictation. So any spellings you can follow either American or British spelling, that is fine. You still will be marked correct. As I mentioned, each correct word which is spelled correctly, you get +1. So which means this is very scoring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 words here. This is a 6-point question. And minimum score is 0 for any incorrect word that you write. You get 0 for that. There is no negative marking. This is an integrated task, very important item type of listening section. Make sure that you manage time and reach here, because if I just showed you an example that this one small sentence is for 6 points. So quite easy, I would say. The only thing is you should have great listening skill. Little bit of grammar knowledge can help. Spellings, make sure that you write correctly, and you can get an excellent score in this. No negative marking. Integrated task where you get scores for listening and writing. Any questions based on this?
Yes, we received a couple of them. There is one. Do we have marks for punctuations in write from dictation?
We don't have separate points or marks for punctuation. So make sure that the word that you are writing, and it has a punctuation in between or before and after, especially when the last word, it doesn't carry an extra point, but yes, that would be counted as a part of that word. So it is better to write the punctuation, because you may lose marks on that particular word where the punctuation is, but no extra marks for punctuation.
Okay, there's one more. Is it true that if we miss first word and write the rest of the sentence right, we get nothing?
No, it's not true. Whatever words you write, be it the first word or you miss the first word or any word that you miss, you get points for each word that you write. Now, if you're writing this, you miss the first word, you write the second word. As long as it's not in caps, you write the second word because you know that you missed the first word, it still would be right. So the words that you write correctly with correct spellings, they will be considered right.
Okay, and there's one more related to the punctuations. What happens if I placed a wrong punctuation or I missed a punctuation mark?
Say again.
What happens if I place a wrong punctuation sign or I missed a punctuation sign?
If you miss the punctuation sign, then obviously you will miss a point on that particular word where the punctuation was there. But if you, and another other thing was, if I place it wrong, yes, that particular word, there for that there would be a penalty. Yeah, penalty, as in that word would not be considered right.
Yeah. Okay. And there is one more, but that's again for the overall reference. How much time shall we spend on each questions type? Can we spend little less time in specific questions or little more time in specific questions?
For the questions where you can spend more time would be, I would say, reading fill-ups. Make sure that you are writing the correct blanks and highlighting correct words, and dictation when it comes to the second part of listening. But for summarized spoken text, anyways, there are 10 minutes given, so that you can manage time. But for the rest of the part, these three are the important task types where you can spend time.
Okay, and there is one more. In order to achieve 79 points in PTE listening, can they skip multiple choice, choose single answer question in order to get 79?
In order to get 79, what is it?
Can they skip multiple choice, choose single answer question because it carries 1 point only?
Yeah. Okay, so I would not suggest you to skip any question, but I would say that don't spend too much time doing any question which doesn't carry a lot of weightage. So don't skip. It's always good to do because you still may get good score. So don't skip.
Okay. That's all, I believe, for the today's session, Priya.
Sure.
Thank you very much for all the And I believe the session was very fruitful for all the students who being an active listener for us. Just to share a couple of things, we are also conducting a survey related to present situation, the impact of COVID-19 on overseas education. I've sent this message in your chat box. I would request you please take out 1 minute of your time and submit your inquiries. That will help us to work around the situation and to support the student as well as the trainer community, which will help you to further plan your overseas plans for studies for migration purpose. And in terms of resources, Priyank, can you please give little inputs in terms of which all resources they should use, name of the books, something?
Sure. Yeah. So there are many resources that are available, and these are Pearson resources. And the first is the Pearson Optional Guide, PT Optional Guide. That is a good resource where it talks about. So it acts like a Bible to PT, which as a student makes sense to go through, and it has a detailed information on various task types and some offline practice tests as well. Then second is PT practice test series where we have PT test practice volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. That is a good way to practice questions when it comes to different question types. So I would suggest that go through practice test plus 1, 2, and 3 series so that you get an idea as to what kind of questions come in the real test. And there are some online practice tests that are available, which Gagandeep can give you more information as to how to log in and how to go about it. So those are very useful, and especially when you actually take the real test, you can try on these tests and see what your actual score is, because they are actually what the pattern or the types of questions that would come in the real test. So it gives you a picture of as to where do you stand right now, what is your current level. So do that before you actually or take the test. um, and yeah, so and
Yeah.
for
Uh,
grammar, yeah,
yeah, for everybody's reference, I have mentioned the website link in the chat box. That is ptepractice.com, where you can go and take these 4 practice tests.
before we end the session, I would just like to thank you all for being such amazing audience, because it was really fun doing this session with you, because I could the participation was excellent. So very good participation, and I'm sure you learned out of what I have taught you today. You've made notes. Go through those notes again and see if it helps. And during your preparation time, it definitely would help. In case you have any questions further, feel free to get connected with me on Facebook. I'll be more than happy to answer to your queries, and you can actually prepare accordingly. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Priyank, for all the assistance that you offer to the students. I know that is really helpful to all of them to prepare for PTE and could able to score really well in their first attempts whenever we are able to start the test. Thank you all for being an active listener and being participating in this with all your inputs and questions. That was really nice. Stay safe, take all the precautions in the present situation, and prepare well for your test at home. This is the right time that you can utilize sitting at home and prepare for your examination. Thank you very much from our side, from Pearson. All the very best for your exam.
Thanks, Priyank. Thank you, everyone. Thank you very much.